Hello there, it's Carrie Rhodes here. Welcome back to the Trinity Stamps YouTube channel. Today I am making a fun card using the Slimline Surprise Die Set and the Tall Tales Slimline Stamp Set. I'm going to color out these images that I've already stamped on some Copic-friendly cardstock, and I'm going to color the entire giraffe with my lightest yellow, which is Y15, and that will just help saturate the paper so that the darker colors I'm going to use for my shadows will blend a little bit easier. So once that is completely filled in, my darkest color is Y38. So I'm just adding a little bit of shadow. This is not the main color of my giraffe, but it really adds to that golden color that I want to help create for the look of this giraffe. And right about here, my marker got really crazy. Do you see how it like bled onto the paper? I had to blot it off onto a paper towel. That's never happened to me before. I've heard that it happens, but I will fix that with a white gel pen later. And then I blended that out with my Y17 marker. Then I'm going to move on to the brown parts using my darkest brown, which is E39, and then I'll blend that out with my lighter, which is E15. I'm going to go over that another time with those same two colors just to really intensify that blend, and it really helped. Next, I'm going to color in all the giraffe's spots with my E15 marker, and that will be the main color of these spots, but I wanted to add some shadowing. So once I get those all colored in, I'll bring in that E39 and darken up kind of like the left side and the bottom edge, and you can see how that really makes those spots just pop. But to soften out that edge, I will come back in with my E15 and blend that out. So to just complete the look, and I loved coloring this giraffe. Giraffes are one of my favorite animals, so I was so excited to finally play with this stamp set and create a slimline card with it. So here I am blending out that line of the darker color. And also where that marker bled, I did come in with my colorless blender and push in or push away as much of that color as I could. And I did do a little bit more blending here and there with my yellows to finish him off. And then I'm coming in with my Jelly Roll pen and adding white highlights. And you can see there I am coloring over that little spot that got out of the lines, and it really is not visible in the end, so I'm glad I was able to save it, and it was a light color like yellow and not red. Now for the owl, I'm using the same browns that I used on the giraffe, so E39 as my darkest color, and then I'll blend that out with E15. And then I'm going to move on to coloring out his beak and his feet using the same exact yellows. I really like to stay matchy-matchy with my cards, and so using the same markers I've already picked out for other things. I'm going to give him a red book because I want my stack of books to be in rainbow order, and he's at the top of the stack in my card, so I'm giving him a red book. For the area under his glasses, I started out with E15 and blended that out with E33 so it looked lighter. It helps it give kind of the look of glass, as well as adding some white gel pen highlights. So you can see here some super fast Copic coloring where I color in all the books in the stack. So I had about 3 books for each color. So you can see I have 3 red, including the one held by the owl. Then for the orange, I have the one standing up and 2 beneath it in orange. And then I have 3 in the yellow, 3 will be in green, and so on. And I ended with pink. So it created a really nice rainbow stack of books. I thought that was just a fun way to color them. You could definitely go more traditional, lighter colors. I'm just a bright color kind of girl, so I wanted to color these really bright and fun, and it kind of reminds me of a children's book story, these little critters, and the owl's reading the story to the giraffe, and they're maybe at the library for story hour. I don't know. I thought it was just precious. The library in the woods. Doesn't that sound fun? All right, so there I'm adding the white gel pen. You see it really brought the look of glass to his glasses, and then I'll add some white to each of the books as well. And there are the finished colored images and all the markers I used. Now I'm bringing in that Slimline Surprise die and die cutting out the main piece, which is right here. The middle section of this creates 3 scored lines. So you're gonna fold it up in the middle and then down on the 2 end pieces, creating kind of like a mountain in the middle. Then we're going to need a pull tab for this, which is kind of a giant pull tab, but this die creates it, and you see that it's open at the top, so make sure you have the die flush with the top for that piece, and I cut it from an 8.5 by 3.5 piece of paper. I brought in my Great Outdoors die set and die cut some grass and some treetops. And then I'm going to use that surprise pull tab piece to cut that grass so that it matches up with my surprise die. I'm going to bend that and then glue that into place, and just bending it before you glue it down is going to make it a lot easier to bend the whole mechanism later. And you can see there, I didn't put the glue all the way to the top of the grass because I want to tuck my giraffe's feet in there. Now I'm going to glue these 2 treetops together so that they are where I will want them to be once I die cut them with the top of the surprise die. So I glued them together, laying that surprise die on top, and then I'll run that through the die cut machine. And here it die cut it where it was held together at the top scored line. It didn't cut it apart, so it ended up covering the entire piece of the surprise die, where the grass only covered the inner section, and I really loved that look. So I decided I would die cut another piece of grass so I could have it also on the outside. Now here you see I'm trying to fold it after the fact. Much harder. So if you're going to do this overlay die cut piece on a interactive element, I suggest pre-folding it, then gluing it down. That's how I know, because I did it both ways. So here's that extra piece I added in, and it really just helps create the look of the scene and have it be more flawless. I have some 1/8 of an inch double stick tape that I'm putting around all 3 outside edges of the surprise die. Now I'm not going to put it at the top. We need to have that open for our pulling mechanism. Then on this tab at the bottom, I'm adding 1/4 of an inch tape. I will remove the backing on that one and add my pull tab so that it is flush with the top and it's not flush with the bottom, which creates an issue that I'm going to talk about at the end. But you see, when you pull that up and down, it slides that middle piece up. So you can create some really fun things. So I've got my giraffe now, my stack of books, and my owl. I'm going to glue these down so only the bottom half is glued in place. The top half is free. So when I pull the tab, now my elements are going to appear to be standing up. Isn't it awesome? Also, when I die cut these, I actually die cut an extra piece that was not stamped, just a plain die cut piece, and I backed all 3 of these pieces to make them sturdier because they are going to stand up and they're such long images, and you know, a giraffe's neck can be really weak. So I wanted it to be strong and sturdy. Now I'm going to make sure I glue the owl just to the top of the books so that I don't accidentally glue him down. So I'll practice pulling that up, and you can see how they stand up, and it's adorable. So for the background on my slimline, I did not show this on the one I die cut, but I wanted to show you on the piece I'm going to put underneath that I used tumbled glass and just went lightly around the edges. And then I brought in Salty Ocean, and I'm going to splatter that on. This is the exact way that I did the front panel, and I wanted the back panel to be the same. So I'm just laying the front piece over the back piece using a pencil to mark where the opening is going to be so I can stamp my sentiment. I am using the Happy Senti-mini and the Sweet Senti-mini stamp sets to create a custom sentiment. I'm taking just bits and pieces from both to create a saying that says, "Have a happy ever after day." Is that so cute? I feel very pleased with myself that I came up with that. I thought it was so fun to go with this stack of books picture. So I'm just getting those lined up on my acrylic block. Like, I didn't even use the Misty on this. It's a little scary. Once you have a Misty, it's so hard to go back and use an acrylic block, right? But I did it with some blue ink there, some dark blue ink so it would show up, and then I'll come back in with a white eraser and erase all my pencil marks. You want to make sure you use really light pencil marks because it is kind of hard to erase them over Distress Oxide ink. Now I am going to remove the backing to my double stick tape, which by the way, I have this little trick when I create this card that I like to double up on that 1/8 of an inch tape all the way around. So put 2 layers and then my glue. It just gives it this tiny bit of lift that I feel like this card needs. Now I have this white piece at the bottom. I decided to color it in with my YG17 Copic marker so it didn't stand out so much. But now I feel like I probably should have trimmed that piece off. It does not want to tuck into the bottom of the card, and it could be a problem. So now I just glued that onto a card base that is 8.5 by 7, scored at 3.5. And there you can see my sentiment and the blue spottery background looks awesome. Now I could have done the ink blended background right on my card front. For whatever reason, I just decided to put a backer on it instead of ink blending it on my card and having that be the background. It really doesn't matter. You could do it either way. I just stapled on a scrap piece of black and white gingham ribbon. Literally, it was exactly that size, a tiny little scrap. Do you save your ribbon scraps too? I do. I have a little bucket of them. So here I'm just showing you, the more you play with this and move it up and down, the easier it's going to be for this mechanism to move. I even used my anti-static powder tool around the edges, and that helps it slide even better. So don't feel like you screwed up your card if at first it doesn't want to slide easily, okay? Just jiggle it. It will work really good. So there is my finished card. I loved coloring these images. It was so fun. I find coloring to be quite relaxing. Here I am trying to open up the bottom of that card a little bit to see if I can get the bottom of it to slide down a little more. I think I'm going to be really brave and try and use my craft knife to just remove that little white piece. Cross your fingers for me. Okay, that is today's card. I hope that you love it. I think a gift card to Barnes & Noble or Amazon for books on the inside of this card would be the perfect finishing touch, don't you? Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you had fun with me today. I will see you all again next Saturday with another video here on the Trinity Stamps channel. We would love for you to subscribe if you are new here, and come find us on Facebook and Instagram too. Happy stamping. Bye.